So the reason why falling is so important is because when you are doing anything in life, whether you are walking, running, jumping, just sitting, anything, your body follows your head. So if my head falls backwards, I'm going to fall backwards. If I pull my head forward, then I go forward. Right? If I pull it sideways, I go to the side. All right. So all the different ways that you would fall really come to where your head is going. So if your head falls in any direction, you're going to get hurt. Now, depending on where your head goes, that's where your body goes. But the reason why you're able to balance and stabilize is because of your hips. So if your hip goes in one direction, you're going to fall in that direction. If your hip goes in front of you, you can also go in front. So your hip and your head need to be aligned with your feet. So when your feet are aligned with your hips and your head, you don't have to worry. When your hips are aligned and your head goes off to the side, it's fine. But once your hips and your head go off to the side, as you can see, you start to fall. Now, falling is literally gravity working to hinge you off of your head, off of where your center of gravity is. If I keep my head above my feet and I pull my hips to the side, I can still balance. This is called counterbalancing. You can do this in every direction, pulling your hips, pulling your head back, and counterbalancing. You can do this with your hands as well. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because falling, what is falling? If you really think about it, falling is the uncontrolled movement of a person, right? So it's just gravity working on your person. It can be on any object, but specifically for you and your balance. Let's take walking, for example. If I were to put my foot forward and move my head forward, I would take a step. Now, what is walking really? Walking is when you put your hips in front of you and your head in front of you, which makes you fall, right? So if you think about that, what you're really doing is you're falling and catching your foot. Falling and catching your foot. So walking is really just controlled falling consistently, moving your head forward. And the reason that's important is because when you don't catch yourself with your first foot and you miss your first foot, that's called a lunge, and I'm going to show you that. So if I'm walking and I miss this foot, I end up in a lunge, right? So the reason why lunging is so important is because you get to make bigger steps. Now, those bigger steps that you get from a lunge are different than a step. They use more muscle. They require stability, and stability comes from balance. And balance comes from strength and flexibility, right? If you're flexible enough and strong enough, then you're able to balance, right? Stability comes from strength. If I can hold myself on one leg and I can stabilize, this is strength. Some people can use it to lift heavy things. Some people can use it to balance and lift themselves. And people with calisthenics can do superhuman things, but they're all possible. And for this specific reason. Now, falling, the way that you control falling, for example, if I miss my feet entirely, what is that called? Well, that is a fall. Let's see. So if I'm walking and then I lunge, what is the next furthest thing? Well, to fall forward. The reason we learn push-ups, for example, allows us to go down and up and also be able to catch the force, right? If you're able to catch the force, then you can catch yourself while falling forward, right? And the same thing applies to the side plank. The problem with this one is if you don't bend in time, you can end up hurting your shoulder, right? So falling is very, very important for everyone because when you are in the situation, you need to know how to handle it. Let's say I fall back and then I want to get up easily. I can do things like back rolls. Back rolls have saved my head plenty of times falling from height because rolls dissipate all the kinetic energy that's built up when you land. You hear the big boom? That force that you get shakes through your body, and when you roll, you dissipate that. That's why people in parkour do the parkour roll, where it's to the side, where they use this side of their shoulder to roll in. That parkour roll can be used to go back as well. And there's also the forward roll as well. That roll is very important because it teaches you how to get into the back bend, which again, all of these movements in gymnastics teach you how to get up and down from your body at any position. and how to spin your body and rotate your body when you need to. So, falling allows you to catch yourself going forward. So you're here, you get to catch going that way. Going to the side, when you put your arm down, there's a lot of force going into the side. So it's actually better to learn how to roll from that position. So learning how to catch the inside. So when I'm falling, you can learn how to catch yourself on a side forward versus a side out. There's also different variations of that. If I were to roll in on my shoulder versus in over my shoulder, which is going here, that one, that's a whole other thing. That's where the shoulder stand and things come into play. But learning how to use your body to move allows you to prevent injury in every direction. So those are to the sides, those are to the front. But what about backwards? Everyone's scared of falling back, right? What is falling back? Falling back is when you pull your head back, and then usually you fall and hit your butt. Now, hitting your butt doesn't feel very good, and the reason it doesn't is because of the force that happens when you, boom, hit straight down. So to prevent that, you want to learn how to lower your hips with the Asian squat, especially, and learn how to pull your butt up, which allows you to roll. That back roll allows you to do pretty much anything going backwards. You can go to the side, you can go to the other side, and once you get really good, you can do things like the kip up. And these movements are all necessary to prevent injury and to get up the quickest way or the most efficient way. For example, if my legs are bent like this and I wanted to sit down easier, I put my hands down, right? And then I can sit down. But if you just know how to put your knee forward, go this way, put your head down, your foot down, get into crosses, go around. These are all movements that allow you to not hurt yourself by putting your knee down too hard, like slamming it down. You don't even touch the ground. Now, learning how to fall can apply to many things, such as skating, which is what we're gonna talk about next. But just before we get into that, we're gonna talk about flips. Now, what the heck are flips, right? What is flipping? What is twisting midair? That is basically you playing with gravity, turning while you can go up and down out of your jumps, right? So whatever jump it is, a push, if you're able to launch out of your legs and throw your arms up, you can basically do any kind of flip, right? And a flip is just, again, falling with style, learning how to play with gravity. And if you can understand that, you can basically never get injured. Parkour, breakdancing, dancing in general, and all forms of movement teach you how to not get hurt. All professionals know how to not get hurt, because when you get hurt, you get injured, you cannot do what you want to do. You cannot practice. And if you can't practice, you can't progress. And if you can't progress, then you can't grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So I'm just saying falling can prevent you from getting hurt. As you get older, it becomes more important. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, just start doing some rolls. I'm gonna make some tutorials right now. So like how to roll, how to do a front roll, side roll, and all these things. So check those videos out next. So now if you would join me at the skate park, we're gonna be learning about skateboarding and inline skating and how those two things apply to falling and why it's so important to learn how to fall. Let's go.